Happy Memorial Day, everyone, and welcome to a double episode or a swapcast between myself. This is the What Was I Thinking and the Waistline Podcast. Now, you might be thinking, Lee, I didn't know you had another podcast. Or, Lee, why are these Usually, it's like the 4 questions for Passover. Why, on most nights, do we either eat sitting down, or reclining? But tonight, we eat only reclining. This week is why do most weeks we have 2 separate podcasts, but this week we're doing a swapcast. I'll get to that in 1 second. But I do want to quickly say Happy Memorial Day to everyone out there, especially the current military members, the veterans who are out there, and their families. A big shout out to all the families who have family members or loved ones either abroad or, I think a lot of times current soldiers who might not be abroad but are still in the States. I just wanted to say I appreciate it a lot. I have family members who have been in all of the branches, not the Marines. I don't know. I don't think any Syatt has ever been a Marine. My grandfather, he a lot braver than I was, but I'm almost positive he was in the band. And I have 2 cousins, one who is still currently in the Air Force and one who is retired. But I am a soft baby man, and would die immediately. Not even like die like in battle. I would be Private Pile immediately in any like immediately. I wouldn't make it through. I don't have hair, but I would not make it through the shaving of the head when you get to basic training. I would quit immediately. So thank you to everyone who is much braver than I am for allowing me to sit on my butt and do basically nothing. The freedom to be a chubby Jewish person. I don't know. I want to say a thank you. Thank you. What I wanted to say, the reason why this week I'm doing 2 podcasts in one, there's a few reasons. One reason is I really do feel like this conversation you're about to hear is incredibly special. It really helped me. Whether you have to lose weight or not, I think that you can benefit from hearing it. I hope you can. It has nothing to do with me and everything to do with my guest Alex. And I'm doing it as an announcement. I made a mistake, I think. I had an amazing time. For those of you who listen to The Waistline who don't know, I, for a long time, for almost a decade, was the co-host of a podcast called The Church of What's Happening Now, and I had an amazing time on it. But I did some unique things. There was a lot of R-rated humor. There was a lot of marijuana consumption, and now that that show is no longer happening, when I created The Waistline, I want it to be for everyone. I don't want people who might be scared off by the marijuana use I used to do or the jokes to get nervous about it, but I also love and cherish my time on the church and wanted to have a vehicle for those people. So I had the What Was I Thinking podcast that started first, and then The Waistline started after it, and I started a separate YouTube page for The Waistline, and I think that was a mistake. It goes against every piece of advice I give to anyone who I consult with, and I'm not perfect. I'm learning how stupid I am on an hourly basis. So I have made the decision for everyone who has been faithfully listening and watching to The Waistline. If you're listening, nothing is going to change at all. If you have been watching this episode and all past and future episodes will now live on this YouTube page, the Syatt YouTube page, and I'll be moving over by the time you see this. All past episodes will have already been moved over, and I want to thank everyone who has watched. And if this is your first Waistline episode that you're watching or listening to, I am completely 100% ripping off Loveline, and what I'm trying to do is there are a lot of podcasts out there that give dieting or eating and workout advice, and there's some of that. I've had a dietitian on the Waistline, which you can now see on this channel. I've had a doctor on What Was I Thinking, and my goal with the Waistline is to shine a light on people who are trying to lose, have lost, or want to lose weight, and do it in a way that just sort of tells their story. I appreciate everyone who has ever loved me and cared about me enough to ask me to lose weight or tell me that I need to lose weight. But something that I think is an issue, at least for me and for some people, it works, but I believe that everyone who needs to lose weight knows they need to lose weight. And the disconnect or the issue is, for some reason, mentally or physically, they are unable or unwilling to do it. And some people can be very heavy. If you're 600 pounds and you love it, that's great. I did not enjoy being 336 pounds. I enjoyed eating, but even honestly towards the end, I didn't really enjoy that as much. But I don't think I'm ever going to be someone who gives eating tips to people. I think I like showing what I'm doing. I like showing what works for other people, to give people the ability to make their own decisions and try other things out that work for them. And because what works for me won't work for everyone. For those of you who haven't listened, I'm doing a form of intermittent fasting called OMAD, and that stands for 1 meal a day, and that scares a lot of people. I completely understand that. I know that I probably will have to eat more than 1 meal a day at some point in my life. But the reason why it works for me, and I'm down, and for everyone who's listening from the Waistline announcement, I'm down 84 pounds as of last week. So I will update you guys next week on what tomorrow's weigh-in will be or will have been. But it works for me for now. And the reason why I'm doing this is not, I know there are benefits to intermittent fasting, and I would love to talk to someone about those on here. But the main reason is because all I'm really doing is counting calories. And for me, the ability to put all those calories in one meal has been very helpful, because I don't really feel like I'm depriving myself at all. But the thing that I've learned throughout this process of doing the Waistline podcast is how mental of an issue weight gain and weight loss is. And my guest today reached out, and his name is Alex Rowe, Rowe, and you can find him at Mind Coach Alexander, right? Yep, Mind Coach Alexander on Instagram. He also has an email, A as in apple, H as in Harry, R as in rabbit. See, it took me that long to figure out a word with R. That's embarrassing. ahrmindcoach@gmail.com. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is Alex is a sports and exercise psychologist, and you will hear me mess that up right at the beginning. I'm sorry, Alex. But the reason why I'm sharing this with you is I had Alex take me through a session with him, a sports and exercise psychologist. And Alex started his career mainly with helping professional or very good athletes, either with psychological issues with their own performance, or how to improve their performance, or their diet plans. But he comes at it from the mental health psychology point of view. And the session that we had was amazing. To be honest, I did therapy for, I think, close to 2 years, and everything that we talked about is simple. And this is something that I learned in regular therapy. A lot of the issue, I think, that I have is keeping things inside and not verbalizing them. And they seem worse than they are. The same thing, Alex didn't, there's nothing in what he said that is a secret or is unknown. I guess the secret would have been fine. I could have just stopped there. I don't know why I continued. But what he did that has so greatly impacted me, and the reason why I'm sharing it with you, is having someone to validate how you're feeling, for me to tell him why I got to where I got to, what my issues are, was very freeing and felt great. And I think it's important, whether your issue is food or not, or what, who knows, maybe you're perfect. Maybe you don't have any issues. I have tons of them. I could do, actually, another reason why I'm sharing this is I actually had nothing bad. I'm nothing crazy. I'm not, I guess I am ill. I guess, who knows? Any sort of mental illness is ill, but I had a bad week last week. I had a few days where I was down in the dumps, and I was going to release an episode about everything that depressed me, to be honest. And I am working on that episode, but I'm glad I didn't. It wouldn't have been the right time to do it, because when I'm having those down days or down weeks, I tend to hyper focus on them, and it would have come off not well. I think it would have been very depressing to listen to, but the talk I had with Alex really helped me come out of that. And because when I get in that way, in that mental health issue, my first instinct is to give up. My first instinct is to just, you're never going to lose weight. Just go get the food, or you're never going to make these podcasts successful, or consulting successful, or anything, whatever it is, anything successful. You should just go work at CVS again. And no, I worked at CVS for years. There's no disrespect to anyone who's working at CVS, but my first instinct when things are not going well is to give up and just say the world is terrible, and you're terrible. I am terrible, and I don't deserve anything good to happen. And the talk I had with Alex, as short as it's not crazy short. I think it's like 35 to 45 minutes. Really took me out of it and really gave me a positive mindset, and a way I like a game plan of how to improve. And I can't thank Alex enough. Again, his name is Alex Rowe. Please check out his Instagram. It is Mind Coach Alexander. It really, honestly, was very special to me, and I hope you enjoy it. I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor this week. Our sponsor this week, right before we start the episode, is Manscaped. And Father's Day is right around the corner, everybody. you probably need a gift for your dad. And if your dad is anything like me or my dad, we're a hairy bunch, the men. We're hairy, and we need to get it off for everyone who loves us. And what you should use for that is Manscaped. Manscaped came out with the Lawnmower 4.0. It's a brand new product, has wireless charging, it's waterproof, it has a light, it locks. I think if you tap it 3 times, there's a genie inside who answers all of your wishes. Probably not, but what's worth a shot? But it's a great product. They have so many great products because you or your dad or some man in your life is hairy and stinky, and no one wants to be fat, and no one wants to be hairy and stinky. It's about to be loving season, so let's get your dad and yourself father and son ball shavers. Who doesn't like that? You want your balls and your dad's balls to match and look great, because you can't have gross, hairy, stinky balls if your dad's walking around with a brand new shiny pair of them. So get both of you, get all 4 of your balls some great new products. Go to manscaped.com and you're going to get 20% off plus free shipping when you use code Syatt, SYATT. That's code Syatt. You get 20% off and free shipping. Don't forget that you came from your dad's balls. This year, show your original home some love with Manscaped. So thank you very much to Manscaped, and I am so honored and so happy to introduce you to the lovely, talented, and amazing Mr. Alex Rowe. I'm sorry, yeah, I almost said Alex. His Instagram is Mind Coach Alexander, but I know him as Alex. Mr. Alex Rowe, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much, Alex, for coming on. It's I like talking to experts because I know absolutely nothing about this world and exercise and losing weight. So I apologize in advance for all the stupid questions I'm about to ask you.
No, fire away. I'm more than happy.
So, so you're an exercise physiologist. Is that correct? Is that the right term?
I'm a sports and exercise psychologist.
Psychologist. I apologize.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so tell me, what does the sports and exercise psychologist do?
A couple of things. So part of my work is I work with athletes, helping them handle stressful situations, anxiety, motivation, things like that. Also helping them set goals is a key thing. So I've worked with a couple of professional golfers in the past, and a soccer player in the UK as well. And another part of my business is helping kind of the everyday person in the same things. Things that apply to athletes also apply to an everyday person, in terms of building a framework, building some foundations that they can move their life in the right direction with. So yeah, I've got there's 2 kind of areas to what I do.
Okay, so how much, like, do you deal, is it like 50-50, or do you deal with a lot of mostly normal people like me, or do you focus mainly on athletes?
I used to focus more on athletes, but the way things have shifted is I'm helping more and more day-to-day people like me and you, which is good. I actually enjoy it. You can see some kind of tangible changes in people over time.
Right.
Whereas with athletes, it's a little, they're looking to gain 0.1%. They're looking to run faster, hit the ball a little bit further, score 1 extra touchdown a year, whatever they're trying to do.
Right.
With real people, athletes are real people too, but everyday people, you can really see the growth quickly, which is great.
So are you, because I had a dietitian on, and he sets up like the meal plans. What is like for an average client, like if I came to you, what would a session or I know each session might differ, but like what would be the goal of working with me?
The first thing we would do in the very, very first session is do something called a needs analysis. So it's kind of a psychobabble term, which basically means we're going to look into what your strengths and weaknesses are. From there, once we understand what the strengths and weaknesses are, we can make a tailored plan specifically for you. Because it's my belief, kind of firm belief, that in psychology, there's no one-size-fits-all solution to someone. Picking up a self-help book from the local library might help you, but it might not be the same for your best friend.
Right.
Because we're individuals. We have a whole host of differences in our genetics, all the way through to how we were brought up. The goals and values we have are all different. So what I would do is go through something called the needs analysis, which means we'll go through sort of 8 different psychological concepts based on what you're trying to achieve. And then we would find out, like maybe grade yourself there between 1 and 10. I'd help in that process. But then we'll select the ones that are really needed in order to make the change that you want to make.
Okay, so are you... Because when I hear psychologist, I know, because I've been to a therapist.
Yes.
Who was just like, we're talking. I went to one psychologist once, and I tried medication for about a week, and my eyes got really puffy, and I couldn't perform with any of my female friends. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
And I decided that a little bit of it was making my life worse, and I could have tried other medication, but the guy told me that I just didn't go to a good guy. The guy was kind of a little bit of a jerk, and then he was like, "Oh well, all the medications make you puffy, and your libido goes away." So I was like, "Well, looks like I'll just be sad for a little bit." So do you prescribe medicine, or is it?
Absolutely not. This is purely a psychological side of things. There's no psychopharmacy. I am not a clinical psychologist, so usually it's clinical psychologists who have the power to offer out medication and things like that. So everything that I'm about is purely the mindset side of things.
Okay, and so you don't. Do you have like dietitians or nutritionists that you work with, or is that also part of what you do?
No, so I'm not trained in nutrition. I have a background in sports science. I know a bit of nutrition. I know a bit of physiology, but my specification is psychology. So if somebody needs a registered dietitian, a nutritionist, if somebody has a psychological need that is outside of my scope, I will pass them on to a registered psychotherapist or psychologist to deal with that. My side of things is more about, as I said before, building a framework from which you can move forward in. That's where I work. That's the scope of area for me.
Okay, and how do you? Because it's funny that you brought up like self-help books. That stuff, like, and this isn't a knock on them at all, but I know that there's like David Goggins, there's Jocko Willink, there's a lot of people who have that like get up and go motivation sort of thing, and for whatever reason that does not click with me.
Yeah. I would say, and I love Jocko's stuff. I listen to his podcast and read his books and everything. I think he's fantastic. The basics of what both of those guys are teaching about discipline, about taking care of your body, taking care of your nutrition, about being determined, overcoming things, they're all things that everybody can relate to. But sometimes these really high performance individuals, if you're trying to judge yourself next to them, it's unrealistic. What you really need to do at the start of the process that you're going on is make sure that you're grounded with the right principles. And then over time, if you get to that stage where you can run ultra marathons, right, you can get up at 3:30 a.m. and lift weights for an hour, you might get there eventually. You might not even want to get there. So finding the right sort of role model is important. But the hardest thing that a lot of people find is they look on Instagram and they find these guys lifting crazy amounts of weights or running up mountains every day. Don't judge yourself next to them. Judge yourself against what you were yesterday.
Right. No, that
makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense. And how how long do you normally see a client for? Is it an ongoing thing for years? Do you see them for a couple months? Like, what does that look like?
It differs from client to client. Some clients like to touch base weekly. Some clients like to touch base monthly. As people generally start to see the growth and change that they want in their life, I'll probably speak to them less frequently, which is not a problem.
Right.
It means that I've kind of
You're too good at your job. Yeah.
So what I initially do is schedule 4 sessions to be done over 2 months.
Okay.
So we'll check in every couple of weeks.
Okay.
See how things are going. See what problems you're having, what challenges you're facing. Whatever it is we're trying to do, just testing on the progress and then advancing stage by stage, giving a little bit more difficult, adding a little bit more discipline here, taking away something else here. And that's how we move it along.
Okay. And then I know you're in Canada, so it might be a little bit different for you.
Yeah.
But to your knowledge, in America, is someone visiting with someone like you covered by insurance or no?
In Canada, it can be, depending on who you work for. I'm strongly believe that if you find somebody who's registered in the States, it will be covered by your insurance. So a lot of businesses include in the benefits package therapist and therapy. So it differs depending on which benefits package you have, what insurance you have. But
right, of course.
A lot of the time, somebody registered, somebody who's got the necessary degrees and certifications, that should be covered by your insurance. Yeah.
Okay, so I can take this out if you don't want to do it, and I apologize for putting you on the spot, but I'm interested in this. Would you mind doing like an abbreviated, like pretend like I'm one of your patients for like a first meeting, or is that something that because you're a doctor, you can't really do?
I'm not a doctor, so we'll have to say that
you're a professional. You're a mental health professional.
Yeah, I mean, we could do a basic one. I'd be open to doing that.
Right, I'm just trying to show what it looks like for most people.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd be willing to do it if you're willing to kind of put yourself out there, which I'm sure you are.
That's why I'm here. So yeah, and again, I'm not looking for an hour of your time, and we'll just a very abbreviated, like, show what maybe like to expect for a first visit might be.
All right. So I guess, the first thing we do is I try to get to know who you are first.
Okay.
So, Lee, obviously I've seen you on the previous podcast with Joey and everything.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about where you are now in your life, what changes you're looking to make, how we can take you forward, what next steps you want to make, what are your goals? Can you give me a little bit of an overview?
Are you looking for just physical, or do you want me to go into like professional stuff too?
Everything.
Okay, all right, perfect. So yeah, as you said, for about 9 years, I was living in LA, and I was the co-host of another podcast, and that ended last August. And so professionally, I'm doing fine, and there's nothing. It's funny that we're having this. I literally just talked to Joey like 3 minutes before you came. He was
awesome.
reading me the riot act about just working smarter and changing a few things. I like both of the podcasts that I'm doing. I need to find a way to be a little bit more disciplined with the promotion. I'm doing the Waistline every week, and I love doing it, but I'm finding it a lot harder to grow this podcast, just because not everyone has like a weight loss interest. So that's something. As far as the health aspect, I've been big for my entire life. I've gained and lost weight a million times. I've just done like this week was 6, I guess. Was it 6 months? Yeah, I guess like this week or next week is going to be 6 months of losing weight. I've really only been doing it with intermittent fasting
Mm-hmm.
and very minimal workouts. I do 2 walks a week, and 2 times a week I do 100 kettlebell swings,
Okay.
and that's really it. And then I'm really just counting calories, and I'm doing a form of intermittent fasting called OMAD, which means 1 meal a day, and it's I'm down 84 pounds so far, so
Great.
it's the weight loss is going well. It uh, as I've learned, it was a lot more at the beginning, and now most weeks it's somewhere between 2 to 3.5 pounds a week, which is
Okay.
still pretty good. But I have probably at least another 100 pounds I want to lose, 105 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
If I could get, I'm 252 at the moment. So I would like to get to 150.
Okay.
And something I struggle with a lot is, it's the reason why I failed before, is I don't like. I was just talking about this with someone on the podcast earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
The fat shaming thing, or like you got to work out, you got to eat right. Like
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason, I'm a little bit stubborn, or very stubborn, and I'm a 12-year-old in a 32-year-old body, that I just, for whatever reason, I push against that. And when people
Okay.
even though I need to do it, I don't like when people tell me, so
Mm-hmm.
I like fight back. And like this, like before, I'm not gonna go to McDonald's now, but before, when people would tell me, oh, you gotta lose weight or work out, I would actively not do it. So
Okay.
I need to change that.
Okay. Can I just take you back to I guess the most important thing? Why are you wanting to lose weight?
Um, because it's a simple but hard question.
Mm.
Um, I want to lose weight to look better.
Okay.
I've been single for 3 or so years, and there's plenty of heavy people who get girlfriends, but I've
Mm-hmm.
always had struggles with like confidence and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that would help a little bit. And uh, it's not that I struggle. I want to be healthier, and I want to live a longer life, but it's a lot of vanity, to be honest. I don't like the way I look in pictures. I don't like that I can't fit in the clothes. I don't like the dating thing is a big thing. So living longer would be a plus, but the main motivation is just looking better, I think.
Okay.
As terrible as that sounds.
It doesn't sound terrible. It's a realistic part of life. So anybody that tells you that vanity is it's not the reason that most people lose weight, it probably is. Um, but what I'm hearing, and you can tell me if you're wrong or not, is the looking better, the confidence, the vanity side of things. It's all about improving your life. You want to find a way to make your life better, both now and in the long term. The trap a lot of people fall into when they try to lose weight is they go on these things called, we call it yo-yo dieting.
Yeah. Oh, wow. 100%. I've
Yeah.
done that a million times.
Yeah. You're not the only one. Millions of people every year go through it. I'll give you, for example, a good friend of mine went on vacation a couple of years ago before COVID in Europe. He wanted to look good for the vacation. He went through a juice dieting plan with
I've done that.
a big company that's in the US, that same brand, juice dieting. He lost a ton of weight, looked great during the vacation. He is now heavier than he ever was. And all of the science shows us that people who go through these yo-yo and crash diets gain more weight in the long term than they would do. So it's, I guess what I'm trying to say to you is it's a boring answer, but the truthful answer is to do it the way you're doing now, slowly losing weight, a couple of pounds a week, a month, however you do it. Because what we need to do is build up your foundations. So um, a good way to explain it is in Japan, they have earthquakes all the time, as you're probably aware.
Hmm.
They're one of the most active countries in the world for the tectonic plates. Earthquakes all the time, but they still have these amazing high-rise skyscraper buildings in places like Tokyo. So the way they're able to keep those buildings upright and not in half on the floor is that they build really solid, deep foundations. So
Okay.
that if an event comes in the future that could kind of throw you out of the place that you're in, maybe it could be a good thing. Maybe it's a wedding. Maybe it's a stressful event, something that causes you pain. We need to build these foundations deep and solid so that if that event comes, it's not going to knock you off the path that you're on to getting to the place you want to get. So there's a couple of things where I would probably look to go through with you if I was consulting with you. And the first one's your education around nutrition, cooking, around physical exercise. Are you a good chef? Do you enjoy cooking?
I do. I have cooked the majority of my meals for the 6 months. I do make at home.
Okay,
The
great.
reason why I hesitate with that is I like cooking, but it needs to be easy for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I also hate cleaning.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
exactly the same.
I hate cleaning, and I'm living with my mom right now, and she, as much as I hate cleaning, she hates dirtiness a lot more. So I do I'm limited to like a one pan right now. I do like my before I weigh in on Tuesday, so every
Mm-hmm.
Monday I make some tuna with some light mayo and some seasoning, and then I eat it with chips. It's like very like no that one's no cooking. So I do like cooking, but I'm not I'm not like a chef where I have like a mise en place and everything all around.
Yeah.
If I can put it in the oven and just bake it and it's done, like a simple
Okay.
sear on both sides. That's pretty much what I stick to.
Okay. So I mean, one thing immediately I would probably look to encourage you towards is taking some cooking classes online, looking through some chef stuff on YouTube. So you're making like delicious food that's easy, simple, quick, nutritious. It sounds like a basic that like a common sense kind of ingredient,
Hmm.
but so many people like fail to do this. They'll start when they're going through a diet, they'll be making food that tastes like wallpaper paste.
Right. Oh yeah. I've had that many times.
Yeah, it tastes and looks like it. And who's going to want to keep up a diet when you're eating wallpaper paste day after day,
Right.
day after day? So I would be encouraging you to look to find ways that you can make either cooking enjoyable, fast, easy, clean, nutritious. There's so much help out there on the internet. There's so many online classes, even if it's just YouTube. So really educate yourself around the ingredients that you're using in your food, how you're cooking it, how you're preparing it, what it means in terms of your calories and things like that. That'd be the first thing I'd look to do. The second thing that I guess, when you gave me a kind of a brief overview is the sort of physical fitness side of things. What do you enjoy doing, like exercise wise?
Very little. I don't enjoy almost any of it. Um I did the best shape I ever got into was at a kettlebell gym. And I
Okay.
did it 3 days a week, and I had a full set in LA. I only have one right now because I just couldn't fit them all in my car. But I have one that I've been using that I do the swings with.
Yeah.
The problem, and I even spoke to somebody while I was at that gym before it unfortunately closed. The gym was kind of expensive. It was like $100 a month, and they said, "Oh, well, you have this set. Why don't you just do that at home?" And and I knew myself, and I said it back then I need someone. I've had a Patreon for about 6 months, 5 or 6 months, and I do 4 live workouts on Zoom a week, and I do it because if I didn't do the Zoom and I didn't have people who would be like, "Hey, Lee, where are you?" I wouldn't do the workout.
Mm. Yeah.
So I I kind of like bike riding, but to be honest, after seeing Segura break his leg and arm, I'm a little bit worried that I would do the same thing. So to be honest, just a very simple answer, I don't like doing much. I'm not good
Okay.
at it, and it really that's a big struggle I've always had.
Okay. Where are you living at the moment, Lee?
I'm living outside of Boston with my mom.
Boston. All right. So the weather's getting a little bit better there now with things
Oh yeah, I know.
clearing up.
I can go
Yeah.
outside. Yeah.
Okay. So look, I think what I'm getting from that is that if you're left to your own devices, you're probably not going to exercise as much as you should.
Oh, if I left to my own devices, I would not do anything. I would be
Right.
like
Okay.
Wally and just float around in those chairs.
So it's imperative for you that you build some kind of community around whatever exercise you want to do, or
Right.
you choose to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get some kind of peers that are going to support you through the process, if they're friends, if they're people who listen to the podcast are going through the same thing, that's going to be really helpful to you because you're going to push each other along the journey. Um, you know, personal trainers are not for everyone. They do help most people though. The reason being is going to teach you how to do the different exercise that you're doing correctly.
Right.
Another big thing that stops people on the journeys is that they start to get injured, they start to get tired, they start to build up these small aches and pains because they're not doing things properly. So even if it's just going to a gym and booking a couple of personal trainer sessions, just so you're getting educated on how to do the different exercises properly, how to stagger and build up over time, little by little, and building this base of kind of physical physical literacy up. This is really important. But I think the key for you is going to be trying a load of different things, seeing what excites you. You never know sometimes where you just try something, you're like, wow, I love that. That was great.
Right.
Yeah, maybe it's a pickup basketball class with some friends, but I saw Segura's injury, so maybe not.
Right. Yeah. No. Even without Segura's injury, but I'm a short Jewish chubby guy. The basket. I look like a basketball, but shooting basketball is not gonna.
Well, I'm a short English guy, so I'm sure you're better than me anyway.
No, I almost guarantee that I'm not. I don't know if I've made a single basket in my entire life. So I would, but point taken. I'm sure there is something that I will enjoy.
Have a look around the area, see if there's something that you and it's just having the bravery to go take the step, turn up on the day, see if you like it or not. Whether it's a walking club, whether it's Joey started jiu-jitsu. I'm sure when he started jiu-jitsu, he was like, "What am I doing here?"
Right. I tried that.
Yeah.
There has to be something that I like. The jiu-jitsu I tried and I couldn't. Oh yeah, I didn't like being with all a bunch of those sweaty guys on me. And I wrestled, but it just I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I didn't. And the part it goes back. There's something. I was gonna not say it, but I'll just say what my thought was. There's something wrong with me mentally because the thing that got me with jiu-jitsu was honestly the warm up, and I couldn't do it. Like I would get so winded. They would have you roll over your front and back of like forwards and backwards to roll over your neck, and I couldn't do it. I hated it, and it was so I need to find some. That's why and the kettlebell. And I think you're right about the community. The thing that I loved about the kettlebells is A, it was quick, and B, I really enjoyed the time I had with the people in the class.
Yeah.
A lot, and it was. I think you're right. I know stuff is starting to open up out here, so I need to find something that I can do with people again.
Your local gyms, your local sports centers are going to have these kind of programs, now that it's opening up a bit. And, there might be opportunity to do these things outside. And make sure you just go in at the right level for you. You're saying that when you're doing the warm-up at the jiu-jitsu gym, rolling around on your neck. Yeah, if you're not exercising a lot, that'll freak anyone out. It's going to wind you. So you need to find somewhere that's got a good coach in whatever they're doing that's going to bring you along slowly. This is not about a sprint. This is about a marathon. As scary as that might sound.
Right. I don't like either of those things, but
but so what I'm trying to say is it's not a quick fix.
Right.
It's not a quick fix. If you're going in for a quick fix, it's not going to last.
No.
The foundations that we talked about, like those buildings in Japan, as soon as something bad happens in your life, it's going to all come crumbling down again. So find a community exercise program or something along those lines, even if it's an online community where you're posting times for a walk around your local neighborhood. There's all kinds of apps now where you've got this kind of thing. That's what's going to be important to you. For other people, it'll be totally different. Some people just love going solo and going running. And for you, it seems like being part of a community and being instructed is probably important to you.
Very much so.
And that probably builds in somewhere within your self-confidence. Because you're probably doubting yourself when you're doing these exercises.
And yeah. It's a constant doubt. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's going to get better over time. So as you make your way up through a beginner class and into an intermediate, that self-doubt starting to drip away a bit alongside your physical base, which is going to keep building up. So if we're back to kind of what I'd be doing on a consultation with you, we would be looking now online, and we'd be finding some in your local area, finding some classes that you can join, some communities that you can join, Facebook groups on Twitter, Twitter accounts that you can follow to help you go through this process.
Interesting. Okay.
Because there's millions of people going through the same thing as you are, especially in Northern America and in Europe.
Right. You can say it. Americans are a bunch of we're like the fattest country in the world.
You would be surprised that UK is kind of catching up to you. We're not that
Oh,
far
really?
behind.
You're catching up to us. Okay, good. Yeah, the fish and chips, man. I don't know how. That's all I know about English.
There's a lot of pies.
Culture. Oh yeah, pies, who doesn't like pies?
Pies are great. Yeah, so like meat pies, that's a big thing in the UK.
Oh, that's a lot better. I used to have a joke about American. I don't like pie because there's fruit in it. I don't like fruit.
Oh no, like chicken, like a chicken pot pie with that kind of thing.
Oh, good. Oh my good. Okay, I'll be over there soon.
Yeah, and we eat a ton of Indian food as well. Like Indian food's probably the number one food in the UK.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so we eat a ton of curries. So they are
okay.
calorie dense, buttery bits of goodness that you can enjoy. You should enjoy.
Oh yeah, have you the puffy bread they have? I think it's called.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
I love that stuff. I love a garlic naan bread as well.
Oh, who doesn't? Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. If we were in your office, we'd be like, all right, let's screw this. Let's go to the Indian place.
Yeah. So that's kind of. So we, on the basic level in the first class, we're not trying to. The first session, we're not trying to overload you. We're trying to get an understanding of where you are. I'm taking all this information down, and then I'd come back to you probably a week later with some kind of plan of things that we're going to go through.
Okay, so, and would I leave with any like sort of homework or anything, or just?
Yeah, absolutely. So the classes that we'd go through, I'd get you to enroll in a class to start with. I'd get you to. We talked about the cooking. I'd want to get you on some kind of cooking course or some kind of free cooking thing on YouTube to follow. That's the first thing we go through. But the kind of more important thing is I'd want to find out, and this is a little bit deeper. So I don't know if you want to go over it for yourself.
I'll do whatever you say. There's thousands of hours of me being inebriated on the internet, so I'm not afraid. I'll share whatever you want to know.
Yeah, I've seen some of them. So
I'm sure you have. My mom has too.
So where I'd go is like what I'd want to dig at is kind of what has caused the weight gain to a point where you're unhappy. So I mean, do you binge eat? Do you
everything? I mean, I don't purge. I've never done that.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a struggle my entire life. I've always had issues with self-confidence, with like in social situations, and food. I'm not much of a drinker. I use, like you said, there were for 8 years. Part of my job was to get high, but I didn't really. As much as I enjoyed it, it's not really something. If you told me I could never smoke weed again, I wouldn't be that upset. I honestly haven't done it in probably 2 months, just because I know that I know that and people think I'm blaming it for me gaining weight. There's plenty of people who smoke weed and don't gain 200 pounds. But I have very little willpower when it comes to food. Food is my vice,
Mhm.
and the edibles just amplify that. So I when I was getting high a lot, I would eat everything and anything, um, as much as I could, and then on a normal basis, when I'm not stoned, yeah, food is my crutch. Food is when I'm happy,
Mhm.
when I'm sad, when I
Mhm.
travel,
Mhm.
when I'm bored. Um, I love getting snacks. I like the whole process of figuring out where I'm gonna eat, what I'm gonna eat. I used to love like laying in bed with snacks and watching TV or movies. Um, a lot of my romantic relationships have like centered around going out to eat
Yeah.
and eating I like yeah, when I'm like I just said, when I'm down, I would try to make it better. I'd be like, okay, I
Mhm.
guess I'll go get something to eat and I'll feel better for a few minutes. Um, but yeah, food is my big vice. It's definitely it's my alcohol, my drug goods. Yeah, it's a big part of my life.
Okay. And you mentioned like when you're happy, when you're sad, that is that a time where you probably eat more than you should, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
got to the point. It was weird. I never felt what's the word I'm looking for? Like I never felt like well liked. Like
Hmm.
I wasn't like a total outcast, but I only had like a couple really good friends. So like I found myself. I remember I was like 5 or 6, and I was at day camp, maybe 7,
Hmm.
and a counselor. I asked him what he was doing after the end of the day, and he was like a high school kid. He said, "Oh, I'm probably gonna go home and have some chips and watch some TV." So I ran home and I did that. And then I remember in high school there was this kid who was like 6'4", 6'5", like a foot taller than me, and he ate 2 sandwiches. So I was like, okay, I have to eat 2 sandwiches. Um, so I it got to the point where I was definitely eating a lot more than I should. I was never a big breakfast person.
Hmm.
I like breakfast food, but I just um, it would mostly be lunch, and I would probably eat more. But then my big thing, and I've been able to not do it that much at all, really, for the last 6 months when I've been on the diet. But
Hmm.
my big thing is I love at night getting a whole bunch of food, pizza, wings, going to McDonald's and getting so at fast food, which is like for my time in California, I ate fast food almost every day, um, and it would be a meal with a like whatever like a big like I'll just give you an example. So like if I went to McDonald's, it'd be a Big Mac with a large fry and a Diet Coke. So I wouldn't. I was trying to be careful, um, but a large fry, and then I'd get 2 small sandwiches.
Hmm.
So and then every time I would slide, so it would be the sandwich, a big sandwich, a large fry, and 2 small sandwiches. But then towards the end, like I would start adding like some nuggets to it, and then after that, I would definitely go. I used to have a thing, like I would do open mic comedy at this place, and I would go a lot of times, even if I was down, because it was in the same strip mall as a 7-Eleven, and I would get one or two chocolate things and one gummy thing. So my favorite things were Reese's sticks, and they
Okay.
come in packs of 4. And so I'd get 2 of those and like a Swedish fish, and I would just destroy it.
Mm.
And I would yeah. The problem with that stuff is like I would feel full sometimes, but it's not really like
It's
and
not
I'm not
it's not
yeah,
shit satiating. It doesn't last a long time, that
right.
feeling of being full. Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for. So yeah, so I would
Yeah.
nighttime is when I would all eat
Okay.
like when I was do diets before that failed, I would be good for breakfast and lunch, and
Hmm.
then nighttime is where I'd mess up.
Well, this is where the intermittent fasting, this is probably why it's working for you. I would
Right.
guess you're cutting out these binging episodes at night, which is, as you probably know, the worst time to eat. Any nutritionist or any physiologist would tell you, eating at night is not what we're supposed to be doing. This is
Right.
all sort of around our circadian rhythms. when we eat at night, we are more likely to get to store any excess energy as fat than if we do it during the day.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a self-fulfilling circle that
Right.
you're eating at night because you're going through these stressful events, you're gaining more weight, you feel more stressful, you eat at night more, and it carries on. So I think the intermittent fasting route is probably a good route for you to go down, and probably why it's working so well at the moment is because you're cutting out that opportunity. The opportunity is still there, but what you're going to probably find over time is as you go through this longer and longer, you're building up the ability to say no, or at least giving yourself that power to say no. And I thought a little bit before we came on about, I know Joey's stopped smoking now, which I was stunned at when I saw it.
I know, it's crazy.
There must be certain farms in California getting really worried right now. But but when I saw it, what I thought to myself is he's gone through these change in his life where he's gone from being an addict to now he's in a place where he doesn't need to cover any of his feelings anymore. He's up, he knows who he is, he's happy, he's got his kid, his wife. It's back to probably where he feels he belongs, the location wise.
Right.
So he's got the ability now to say no, and he's using it. It's like a power that you're going to get, and it's going to come over time. It's going to build up and build up and build up. So you're going to have the ability to think to yourself, that little stop signal comes in your head and think, why am I doing this? I don't need to do it. This could be anything. This can be food. This can be drugs, alcohol, whatever people do. And this is something that you're going to gain over time. And as you go through this process and you lose weight, I think especially if you can start to build up a bit more of a physical base, I think the less and less you're going to want to harm the progress you're making. So you're going to continue to get stronger and stronger and stronger, and it's about building those stepping stones up, finding yourself in a position where that if you're stressed out, you're going to be wanting to do something else other than eat. Which, again, when you eat when you're stressed, you're more likely to gain the excess calories as fat again. It's a horrible little cycle that goes through during stress. And this is all due to certain chemicals that your brain and your body releases under stress. So these things are going to go down over time as you build up your physical base, and also kind of your confidence. You are going to reduce the effect of stress. So when something stressful happens, it'll have less of effect on you than it did before. It'll be less deep and be less meaningful, depending on what the stress is. So something that will really tip you off before, maybe a comment from somebody, maybe you see David Goggins absolutely ripped running up that hill and you think, what am I doing? Like, I'm never going to catch this guy.
Right. Yeah.
That's going to change. And those people are going to start to look a little bit more within reach as you go through the process. So yeah, from what I can see, you're aware of the things that are causing you to gain weight, and you're also aware of the things that are causing you to lose it now, which is awesome because a lot of people can't see the wood for the trees when they're going through a process like this.
Right.
I like that you're going through a diet that's structured and planned. My only concern would be, is eating one meal a day for the rest of your life sustainable? Probably not.
Right. Oh, absolutely. No, that you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. And the reason my brother is like a nutrition and training expert, and the reason I know some people think that there's a lot of benefits to fasting, and that there probably are. Yeah. The reason why I'm doing this right now is exactly what you said earlier, that I just, for whatever reason, by doing it this way, I don't feel like I'm really holding myself. I can still get to eat kind of what I wanted to eat, but there have been days where I've had to eat earlier in the day, and I just have smaller meals at night, especially if I start dating, and
yeah, absolutely,
and doing more work. It is gonna be hard to not eat multiple times a day. So
absolutely,
you're absolutely right. And would you recommend now, I mean, I still have probably about 100 pounds that I'd like to lose. Would you recommend me maybe switching to like a window and maybe trying to do 2 meals a day as opposed to the one bigger one, or what do you think about that?
With a lot of these diets, a lot of especially intermittent fasting diets, the science kind of shows that you should have a break period at some point where you go back to a normal-ish schedule for a couple of weeks. And what's being shown is if you do have these break periods and then go back, you get even more benefit when you actually go back to it. So
Okay.
give yourself a break sometimes, even if it's a day or two. I'm not saying you should, start throwing the Reese's down again or anything
No, no,
like that.
I would. If you told me that, I would come out to Canada and give you a hug and a kiss. But no, I know I
I mean,
can't do
look,
that.
yeah, I mean, don't start chucking them down. But if you want to reward yourself every so often because you're doing well and you want to have something desirable to you, have it. Like as long as you're keeping it in moderation, there's nothing wrong with rewarding yourself every so often.
Okay.
What I would say is, yeah, if you're going to be going dating again, and I hope you are soon. If you're
Me
going on,
too. Yeah, me too.
yeah, if you're going on a date with a girl and she's got a steak in front of you and you've just got a glass of water, it's going to be weird for you and her.
Right. Oh yeah. Absolutely. No. Yeah.
Yeah, so give yourself the flexibility when you've got these kind of events to go through it. But just be mindful that maybe the next day, if you do eat a little bit more the day before, you're going to work out a little harder the next day. I'm not saying you have
Right.
to go crazy and run up a mountain, but you're maybe going to have to do an extra 10 minutes, and that
Right.
way you're balancing it out. So yeah, don't beat yourself up if you slip for a day or two, but just get back on it again. Don't feel like it's hopeless and you lost all your progress. Get back on it again. Get in that mindset where you're eating properly, you're eating healthily, and it's a slow, steady process, and that's where you're going to get not only to your goal eventually. You're more likely to get to your goal by going slow and steady, but it's going to be a lasting change.
Right. Okay. No, that's very smart. And Alex, you were very generous with your time. If trust me, we'll talk after this. If I owe you anything, I'll Venmo you right now. That was very helpful. If there's someone out there who's watching or listeing who wants to work with you, do you work with people outside of Canada, or does it have to be Canadians?
Absolutely. The joy
Okay.
of Zoom and teams and everything, absolutely, I can do. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, I just set up a new Instagram account. It's Mind Coach Alexander.
Any underscores or anything like that, or
No,
all one
no,
word?
it's all one word. Mind Coach Alexander, all one word. Or you can get me on. You can send me an email at ahrmindcoach@gmail.com.
So AHR Mind Coach?
Yeah, at gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
Yeah,
okay.
So yeah, and absolutely, I work with people in America and here in Canada and in the UK as well. The joy of Zoom and Teams.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Alex, that was amazing. You're very talented at what you do, and I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for coming on.
No problem. If you need to reach out for anything and need any help along, just reach out to me and let me know.
Thank you very much to Alex for coming on the podcast. I really hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Again, if you want to reach out to Alex, his Instagram is mindcoachalexander, and his email is A as in apple, H as in Harry, R as in rabbit. See, I remembered. AHR mindcoach@gmail.com. That was great. That I know he said a couple times, "Oh, I don't know if you want to say." I'm an open book at this point. There's nothing that you can't find out there in the millions, or not millions, but thousands of hours of me being stoned out of my mind on the internet. For everyone who is new to the Waistline, or Waistline people, if you're new to this YouTube channel, welcome. I just put out last week a video I made called OMAD Cooking with Lee. I just filmed myself cooking one of my dinners on my Instagram stories, and I loved it. So I'm going to start doing a lot more of that. There's going to be a lot of content on this YouTube page. As far as the audio podcast, they're both, you're listening right now. But if you're heading back to work, right? If you're heading back to work and you can't watch as much as you used to, that's fine. Congratulations for having a job. The What Was I Thinking podcast and the Waistline podcast can be found wherever you listen, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartMedia, everywhere you listen, it's there for you. And I really genuinely appreciate all of the love and support. I want to thank manscaped.com for the support. Don't forget, you get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com using code Syatt, SYATT. It's about to be Father's Day, and don't forget that you came from your dad's balls. So this year, show your original home some love with Manscaped. Thank you for watching and listening, and I will be back next week with a separate episode for each podcast, the What Was I Thinking and the Waistline podcast. But for the first ever combo swapcast with myself, you didn't think that was possible, but it is. I want to say thank you so much again. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know. Please let Alex know if you liked it as much as I did. Thank you, and have a great week. I love you, and I'll see you soon.